Tallahassee area, Panama City area, Panhandle, and Big Bend area high school football fans, welcome to another edition of the Extra Point. I'm Mark Adams, and I'm here with my tag team partner, Coach Cofield, and we are 4 quarters online. And, Coach, we've made it to the end of another great, fantastic football season. Hate to see it go, but, man, it's been a wild ride so far.
Man, I hate it that it's almost over, but I understand going through a season, somebody gonna go to the playoff and somebody gonna stay home and watch. I look forward to seeing who's playing, but it's exciting. It was an exciting season, and not in totality, it wasn't very many surprises. The teams that you thought were going to be good, they were. It was a few teams. It was exceptional. They did some things that you probably didn't expect. I would say
Yeah,
like Charles. I didn't expect that out of them after all the preseason trouble they had, but they had a pretty good season.
Yeah, I really you almost hate to see it because there are a couple of teams that are right there on the bubble, and man, maybe if we kind of extended it to 11 weeks, but man, this you only get 10 games to kind of prove what you can do, and you never know. Sometimes in this last week that's coming up, the ball may bounce somebody's way, and they might get a nod. But there were some really surprising teams in the area, and it's overall it's been very fun to watch in 2023, watching the football season just kind of progress and fold out in front of us. But let's go ahead and turn it back to last week, the week number 10 rewind. Thursday night, Panama City Mosley edges Niceville in a huge ball game, huge win for the Dolphins, 29-28 over the Eagles. And you gotta kind of wonder, is it enough to kind of get that bump going into the postseason? Because the way that Mosley has played most of this year, they've really been right there on the cusp. They had a few close losses to a few upstart teams, but I really would like to see the Dolphins get in the playoffs. I think they can make a lot of noise, but man, great victory for them. And this is a team I would not want to face in the playoffs if they should happen to get in. They're right there on the edge. According to the most recent state rankings, they're ranked right out of that top 8 in the Region 1 class 3. I think it's 3S. And you just kind of wonder how if things had gone a little bit differently, they probably would have been a sure lock.
Yeah, but I think they're gonna. The way I understand the playoffs, I think they will get in because they in that district they in. They won the district. They're one of the better teams out of out of this area, and I think that I'm not sure, but I think they're in. And like you say, they're gonna be a tough out if you're gonna play if you're gonna play them. They did a great job. People, I don't think many people thought that they were going to get have the kind of season they had. Although they would bring back a few seniors, we got to talk to them at the beginning of the season, and they look. I mean, they look like they're a team to deal with in the playoffs. But anything can happen in the playoffs.
So moving on around the area, Crestview Downs Leon 39-14, and the Lions really a tale of two halves of the season. Started out great, fantastic, and really just kind of downtrodden over the past 4 games, dropping the last 4. And I think Coach McGriff really has put together kind of a good nucleus. It should be a quite a few guys coming back. They graduate a few seniors, maybe about a handful. But I really look for this team to come back bigger and better next season. And they have a really good nucleus of young guys that I expect to kind of carry some of the things that they've learned this year into next season and look to be able to get over that hump and become a contender again. John Paul blanks FAMU High 47-0. Big win for the Panthers. And you look at how, just really some teams really, they just had to kind of take their lumps and bruises, and John Paul was one of them. And then they rip off 3 or 4 straight wins to close out the season heading into the last week. And, this is, if you're a coach, you don't want your team to quit. We talked about that before, being able to fight through adversity in some of those tough matchups, playing bigger teams, bigger schools, and then finally getting down to competition that's on your level and just dominating. And that's what the Panthers have done.
Yeah, I think the Panthers did a great job at the end of the season. Had a very, very tough schedule. Got back, played some tough teams, took some hard lumps, but when it came to their level of play, they dominated. Not a very close game at all in any of the games they played. And Coach Tremaine Hughes did an awesome job at the end of the season. Now coming to the postseason, let's see what happens.
All right, moving on to some Friday night scores from week number 10. Man, a game and we had our eye on Lincoln Childs hooking up at Gene Cox Stadium and excuse me, at Childs High School. And really for the Trojans, this was a really big statement win as they hold off Childs 13-6. Childs, I think they gave it pretty much everything they had to be able to take on in order to take on the best in the area. And man, one of my favorite quotes is, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. And they came pretty close, but Lincoln just kind of really showed their dominance, especially on the defensive side of the ball, holding Childs out of the end zone in the latter parts of the game. And, Lincoln just kind of, flexed their muscles a little bit and snatched the victory away. Childs really came into the game operating on a very high level. I think this team, again, this is one of those teams where, if the ball should bounce their way, this is a team I would not want to see in the playoffs. I think Lincoln is glad to get the victory, close out their district play, and also I think they're another victory away from securing the city championship, which has kind of been a staple over there over on Trojan Trail for the Trojans. And when I look at this matchup, it really was intriguing at first, and I knew it would be close, but I think Lincoln just had a little bit of an edge, and it definitely showed on the defensive side.
Mark, I think the injury to Taylor Jacobs was really key. He could not run. He limped the whole game, most of the game. I think he hurt either his ankle or his knee, and he really wasn't that effective. I think with him healthy, Childs had a better chance of winning the football game. But when he hurt himself, I think it kind of took away some of the momentum. They were up 6-0. Lincoln came back and scored, and the final score was 13-6, and they were just one score away from tying the game up, and they just
Mhm.
couldn't get over the hump. Great job by Childs. I look You look at the team, you look at where they came from, all the troubles they had at the beginning of the season, and they had a great season. Bill Reagans did an awesome job as coach.
Absolutely, incredible job. Gets one of my nods as one of the coaches of the year. Uh, And I think it definitely is a testament to be able to rally the troops together. I think he knew the pieces he had going in, and definitely they were able to shock some people going down the stretch. But man, a big win for Lincoln as they move on throughout the season, holding off Childs 13-6. Moving on around the area, Rickers absolutely annihilates Arnold 66-3. One of the most complete ball games that the Raiders have put together. Big win for Coach Quentin Lewis and his bunch over at the Dead Sea. NFC dismantles Monroe 63-26. Is our second 60 piece in a row, Coach. The Eagles, this is really where you want to be, closing out the regular season. You want to be able to kind of end on a high note when you get ready for the playoffs. And this was a great tune-up for them. Monroe really kind of going into a rebuilding mode here, but for NFC, this is an absolutely dominating win. Another game that I definitely had my eye on and was entertaining all the way up until the fourth quarter. Very close ball game up until the last period. Gaston County downs Godby 46-28, and the Cougars were hanging with the Jags for a minute. And man, too much Gaston County defense. And I think Coach Ellington will definitely tip his hat on that one, as far as being able to get his team ready, going on the road and taking on Gabi, and being able to bolster their resume going into the last couple of weeks of the regular season. I think this was a big win, a much needed win, because I think it gave them a little bit more insurance going into the playoffs, being able to impress the kind of rankings model that the FHSA uses. I think it was a big win for them, and definitely will add to whatever ranking system that they have, being able to increase their chances. And this is a team I don't want to see in the playoffs either. They look absolutely scared. I think they're playing some of their best football right now.
Yeah, they lost a close in the week before to Walton County. Uh, thought they thought they could do better. Had a big lead and lost it late in the game, lost in overtime. So it could have been a little different for them. It might be winning that game, but you got to play. You got to play all the way 4 quarters. You got to play the whole game. Things didn't work out, but they came back strong playing against the Cougars, doing a great job against them, showing up on defense and offense. Uh, they're like they head in the right direction. It might be too late, but you gotta give them tip your hat to them. They're doing a good job at the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on around the area, Seminoles, out of Florida High, blank Mariana 38-0, and that's just Florida High doing what Florida High does. Uh, Being able to play complete football, and the Seminoles look really good going into the last week of the regular season. They have a date with Lincoln to close things out. Moving on around the area, another game that you just had to throw the records out on. Wakulla edges Suwannee 24-21, and man, I wish I had been on hand in person for that one. 3-point win for the War Eagles puts a great exclamation point on the end of a great dominating undefeated season for them. Suwannee came pretty close. I think they had a couple of plays that I think they had a couple of penalties that kind of took them out of the red zone throughout the game that really kind of ruined their chances. But Wakulla, this game, I think what War Eagles trailed at halftime, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
and then they were able to mount a comeback going into the second half and snatch victory away and preserve that perfect season. I know that's really big for Coach Cleese and his group to be able to close out the season 10-0 and one of the top ranked teams in the state. So forget the classification. Wakulla can probably go toe to toe with anybody on a neutral playing field, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do in the playoffs. Moving on around the area, Osceola, man, they were riding that undefeated streak for so long and finally ran into a Flint River buzzsaw as they take the L 31-7, just kind of putting a sour note on that undefeated run, but still a great season for the Warriors so far. Then Chipley taking on Taylor County. Somebody forgot to tell Taylor County, I think they almost had it there, but Chipley edges the Bulldogs 15-14 to come out with the victory. And Chipley definitely looking like one of those teams in the 1A rural division that you don't want to go up against in the playoffs. And more so for the Tigers, they've been playing pretty good ball over the course of the season. One loss team, and man, I think it might have been a little bit of a trap game for them, but Taylor County almost pulled that one out. That would have been a really big upset for them. More scores from around the area. Walton County blanks Pensacola Catholic 46-0, and the Braves doing huge things this season, have really turned a lot of heads. I don't think a lot of people saw them coming, but I chance talked to Coach before the season. I think he knew what he had going into the regular season, and they are the number one team right now in the 2S classification. So this will be a lot of fun, Coach, because I think we've got 8 or 9 teams in that classification that are looking to sneak into the playoffs, and the top 8 are locks right now. Walton is sitting at the top of that list.
yeah, they have had a great season. Had a close game with Gaston County. Was behind by 2 touchdowns late in the game. Came back, tied it up, went in overtime to secure that undefeated season last week, and then came back this weekend, just demolished the team out of Pensacola. You have to give Coach White a thumbs up, high five. He's done a great job with that club.
It's a
And
helmet sticker.
yeah, man, we got to get some helmets. I don't think we got enough though. Just
We
get
got
one for
he gets
the
a
hill
helmet sticker for that one.
I mean,
Great season for Walton.
undefeated.
Yeah, they definitely look like the one of the scariest teams. They faced a lot of adversity and still managed to come out on top. So the Braves will definitely be adding a lot of flavor to the 2S playoff picture when next week comes around. Madison County downs Chiefland 44-2. Big win for the Cowboys, and they certainly need the momentum going into the playoffs as we go into the last week of the regular season. Bluntstown blanks Liberty County 41-0. And you always want to beat your rivals, and you always want to beat them pretty good. And this was a huge win for Bluntstown over visiting Liberty, which is just literally 5 minutes up the street across the bridge. But Tigers definitely dominated in that one, and much needed momentum for them as they look to gear up for the playoffs as well. Lafayette Mayo gets a big win over Jefferson County 38-8, and Sneeze gets back on the winning side of things with a big 48-21 victory over Port St. Joe. Pirates, much needed win as we enter into the last week of the regular season. Cottondale downs Vernon 56-14, a big win for the battle of I call it the battle of the bees, Yellow Jackets versus the Hornets. But Cottondale takes this one 56-14 with a big win for them. Jay downs Weewa 35-22. And Weewa Hitchcock had a lot of momentum through the mid portion of the season and kind of drops one here at a critical point as we get to the tail end of the regular season. Meanwhile, around the area, going out in the Panhandle, once again, Bozeman rolling right along. They're not stopping that train. They get another big win over Holmes County, no less, 29-16, another road victory for the Bucks. And if you look at the way the Bucks are built, man, I really like them to be playing in Bragg Stadium in December.
Hey, Mark, they got a quarterback. The coach has done a great job. He has taken this program that once was sort of like a doormat program, and now they are one of the best teams in the Panhandle. And it's a tough that area of state of Florida, Panhandle, it's going to be tough for the rural teams that come out of that area, because you got a bunch of good teams over there, and anything can happen before they get to Bragg Stadium. And those teams over there, I would hate to be in that matchup. I'd rather be in another division.
Absolutely. Quarterback is a West Virginia commit, I believe. So
Yeah.
great victory for them. Moving on around the area, South Walton downs North Bay Haven 36-6, and then Freeport blanks Graceville 35-0. And that'll do it for week number 10. Coach, we got one more to go, and that will put a lid on the 2023 season. But man, great great football around the area is still being played. One final week, so we encourage everybody to get out there, check out your local teams. I want to wish all the seniors well wishes, those who are going on to the next level. It's been fun watching you guys play. Congratulations and good luck to you guys on your last night of regular season football for the 2023 season. Coach, we want to encourage everybody to keep it locked here at Four Quarters Online, because we will be previewing the playoffs coming up here in coming up over the next couple of days. We've got great information compiled as the state will do their playoff bracket reveal on Sunday. I believe that's Sunday the 5th, Sunday the 5th. They'll be releasing those brackets. And so we're going to go ahead and preview the teams that we think are going to be getting in and making some noise. So we'll be releasing that episode coming up momentarily, but keep it right here at Four Quarters Online. I'm Mark Adams, and my tag team partner, as always, Coach Cofield, will be coming right back at you with the week number 11, the final week preview of the regular season.